All right, welcome to episode 96 of the Card Diary by Hobby S. Thompson. I'm your host, Denny Cards, and this episode is called the Mid-Atlantic Sports Card Show with promoter Ryan McCormick. Before I have him come up onto the StreamYard stage, I wanted to thank everyone for being here. Got a little bit of a delay because we had to make sure we had the audio and the video working. This is actually my second time ever doing a YouTube live stream that I will eventually also publish to podcast form. I didn't know how to do this, honestly. The first time I did this was last week, episode 95. It was also on a Sunday. Today is Sunday, November 17th. And episode 95, I had on three wonderful guests who served in the military or who are currently serving in the military. And that was the Veterans Day special. And we had a lively discussion. We had a lively chat. I do believe that my three guests brought along some folks from their respective audiences and followers. Currently, we have people streaming in. So let me just say, let me just put in here my first testing, first time scheduling a YouTube live stream. And then I wrote here, if you're able to see this, thanks so much. You can join. We have Brock's boys, Aaron and Jordan, with a thumbs up emoji. And then I just wanted to thank them for being here. And then I just had a little bit of a chat note here saying just a few more minutes until our guest arrives. So having said all that, let's get to the meat of today's episode. I've had a string of podcast guests who are card show promoters, and there really is nothing more that I like in the hobby than a great, wonderful card show. And our guest today, I would argue, arguably has the best card show in the DC metro area, the DMV, we like to call it, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area of the country. I do believe that we have one of the best card show scenes and card hobby scenes in America. I mean, I know a lot of people talk about California, people talk about the Northeast, people talk about the Southeast and Dallas and all this stuff. But, this is a card show scene that has like a, I feel like there's a card show every single weekend in the DMV, whether it is Northern Virginia or Southern Maryland. I guess there aren't actually any that I know of in DC proper, Washington, DC, in its own city limits. But, I'm really proud of the card community here and how much we represent both in local shows, regional shows, national shows, and on social media. And Ryan has started to create just he's part of that. He really is. And he has he'll jump on here in a moment to tell us which iteration of show this is, but he and I were talking about it. This is not his first rodeo, but he's also not like a seasoned veteran where he's been doing this for decades. And it's interesting because I've gotten to know so many show promoters in our area and beyond. And I have met the first time show promoter, the seasoned veteran promoter. And the main thing I think all of them have in common is just wanting to build community and wanting to build a place for card collectors to come together and to just have a lot of fun. And so let me bring him on and let's get to know Ryan. This is Ryan. I'm going to put you on the left side so the logo isn't in our way here. Ryan McCormick from the Southern Maryland area of the country. Welcome to the Card Diary podcast.
Great to see you, Denny. And I'm going to apologize in advance if we have any technical difficulties here. I just sent a text telling all my other family members to get off the Wi-Fi network. So I think that was slowing things down a little bit, but hopefully I caught just about everything you said there and appreciate all your comments and looking forward to talking with you about all the stuff you raised. So
awesome.
Thanks for having me on. Good to see
you. I love just going down threads, whatever the guest says. I like to go down the rabbit holes. Let's get straight to the family aspect of things, because the first time I met you we were trying to get to know each other, and you were manning the table in the front for the admissions area, and you were there your daughter was there, your wife was there, like your two sons, like you had your whole family there contributing, and I got to talk to all of them too. And you have a beautiful, wonderful family. But can you, like, how important is it to have your family involved with this with this venture?
Oh, it's so great. I mean, and it's an unpleasant. I mean, it's a unexpected surprise, right? Because when I started down this road, I started looking for a place to do this, and was just kind of working on this whole effort on my own. And then the first show came along, and I'm like, oh my God, I need help. And asked all the family to help out with it. And turns out they loved it. So they've been really active and involved ever since then, and they're just critical to making it work. I mean, my head would explode if I had to do it all myself. I couldn't do it all myself, and so to have family there helping out is really key. And so they're very involved. They help now, kind of in the preparation stage as well as the show itself, and they have a lot of fun with it, and they collect things themselves a little bit, but mostly they just really enjoy the atmosphere of the show and meeting the people that are there and interacting with all the attendees.
How did they feel, or especially like your better half, like how did they feel when you told them that you wanted to do this? And then do they each have like specific tasks that they're assigned for show day?
So this started during COVID, right, when we kind of had a lot of time, and I started kind of walking around. I've always been in the hobby. I've always been a collector. I've always gone to card shows, and I had time during the pandemic to kind of spend some time walking around the DMV, the Beltway, the city and its inner suburbs, and just decided I wanted to do a show. And that's how it kind of took off. So they weren't really necessarily, my family wasn't involved at that point. I was more or less, had in my head that this is what I was going to do. And then, once I had a venue, then I agreed on a date, and then, and then made sure that worked for all of the family and got everybody involved at that point. Some help and assistance, and was going to be a lot more than one person, a lot more work than one person could handle.
Yeah. So you have some family doing the front. You have some dealer relations that you have like, what I like about what you do is you definitely make sure everyone is comfortable, whether it is the public or the vendors. I've had other card show promoters come onto this podcast and talk about how their essentially their clients really are the vendors. It's not the public. You would think, oh, the public has to have a good time. Of course they do, but the clientele is the people who give them the money for the tables. So it's important for the vendors to be comfortable as well. So like I think we've kind of talked about this beforehand, so but I kind of want to share, like, I think you do more for the vendors than other promoters I'm aware of, because like you provide them not just like I mean, actually, it doesn't happen every show, but like, you provide coffee, you provide breakfast food, you provide pizza. Like you actually make sure that the dealers are really comfortable.
Yeah, well, they're there all day. Some of them have help, but not all of them. Some come by themselves and man. I'd say probably more than half probably come by themselves and man their own table or setup. So they're in no position to just leave and go get lunch or do anything like that. So, we're trying to just make it as positive a show for them as possible. And so if something we can do is, get them food or pizza or coffee or donuts and, that kind of stuff, we want to do that. But it's working with the vendors, making sure they have a good experience is really important. I feel like shows, this is just my experience going to shows. I feel like a lot of them these days are very dealer heavy and attendee light. So, there's no problem, I think, for filling tables. Everyone wants to be behind a table. Everyone wants to be a dealer. But the challenge isn't necessarily filling tables. It's getting attendees and getting the energy level and bringing people in and making it a real full day event. So I'm as focused on the attendees and really working to bring in as big and good a group as possible as I am with the vendors. And that means everything from, new people in the hobby that have no experience to trying to get serious collectors to drive in maybe a couple hours or a few hours to come to the show as well. So kind of working all those angles, right? And promoting it to people that have no knowledge or awareness or necessarily prior involvement in the hobby. And then also, working to try and get the real kind of serious hobbyist that thinks make it worth their time to drive in from a few hours away to go to the show.
No, I think that's wonderful. So you said the word energy, and I gotta say, like, I hope to bring the energy. And so this is maybe a little quick segue or tangent where I'll say, I'm proud to be your show's ambassador. And so I have some duties, prior to the show and after the show. But my main goal is to make sure that people are also having a great time. And if they have any issues, that I can maybe uplift them to, be kind of like the liaison, come up to you and let them know, what's going, be another extra set of eyes and ears. Of course, the content is the main reason I am the ambassador. So, I plan to do like a card show vlog, and I plan to kind of like, make some Instagram reels and all that stuff. So I'm really excited because this is not my first time at your show either. Like, this is probably my either third or fourth time doing that, super difficult. No, I'm just kidding. The drive from Northern Virginia to Southern Maryland. So for me, it's about a 50 to 60-minute drive, I think. And you really do have a wonderful venue. Can I ask you, because I think you've always had it in the same place. It's going to be in the Silver Spring Civic Center, right?
Yep.
How did you come up with that venue?
I think like with a lot of promoters, it's just kind of stumbling on places. I mean, I can't tell you how many hotels I visited before landing the Silver Spring Civic Center. But there are in our communities, there are public venues as well, and that's in Silver Spring Civic Center is kind of a unique public venue because it does have the county behind it, but it also has the local business improvement district behind it. So it's kind of a public-private partnership, and they put a lot into the venue, a lot of capital into it to make it a nice place. It's not, like it's not like the Elks Lodge or something like that. It's much more of a venue that is used for a lot of evening events, a lot of galas, and during the daytime, it's used for business conferences and things. And we just found, it had enough square footage for what we wanted to do. We weren't filling it up initially. Our very first show, we used just the main hall. Now we're kind of spilling over and using the atrium. And in February, we're going to have the whole building. So it's just been an ideal thing. And we have a good partnership with the county on it. We, work really well with them, and they've been very supportive of what we're doing too, because they're interested in bringing business and economic activity and visitors into downtown Silver Spring. And I know, Denny, you spent some time in downtown Silver Spring. It's really nice area. But I want to go back while I have the floor to something you said about you being a show ambassador. So Denny, you have just a tremendous platform that you've built up over a number of years or months at least over time. And, you have reach into our community that I don't necessarily have. So you bring a lot of value to the event, which I'm really excited to work with you on that. And, my hope is that there are a lot of people that they see posts about the show, but they haven't been there and they have no plans to go there next Saturday. But you're going to kind of bring the show to them in some ways, even if it's with short clips, with 90-second reels or whatever it may be. They can kind of get a sense of what the vibe is and what the show is like. And I think that in addition to all the kind of things you're going to be doing with attendees to make them have a positive experience, you're going to be helping us like get this out there disseminated, and so people can really kind of experience a little piece of it, and maybe they'll they decide to join us on the next one.
That's really nice of you to say. Thank you. Yeah, it almost seems like months. I mean, it feels like, the hobby, there's so much that goes on in the hobby on a weekly basis. It almost feels like a week can be a month, or a month can feel like a year. But it really has only, I started my account like, I got back into cards like when I turned 40, and now I'm 42. So it's only been like 2+ years since I kind of started this up. And I think what continues to just carry me is the energy and the vibrancy of the community. I really have found some, I've certainly met some people that I wish that I hadn't met, but for the most part, there are some amazing people in this community. And it's, when it comes to amazing people, it's not just how awesome of their collection is, or how much money they have. It really comes down to how kind they are, how generous they are with their time and their information. And I had to come back to a landscape within the hobby that was just so different from when I was collecting as not just a kid, but as a young adult just 15 years ago, when I was collecting, when my Florida Gators came into after their back-to-back national championships in basketball. I was collecting them, and there was no I mean, maybe, I'm sure there was grading like in Beckett and all that, but I don't remember grading my cards at that time. You always wanted to keep your cards in pristine, perfect condition, but came back to a landscape that had, of course, like just zero breaking. I remember some people were trying to do some things, like I had Cards Infinity break a couple of boxes for me on YouTube, and it wasn't live, it was just like a recorded stream. So it was really interesting. So thank you so much. Like, I like to work with people who see my value and see what I bring, and you're one of them. And it's not just like waiting to see if I can later become bigger, but people who believed in me like from the ground, from the ground level, from like, when I had much less than I have now in terms of like reach and an audience. So thank you for saying that.
Denny, I'm going to flip it around, and the interviewee is going to become the interviewer
Oh
here.
boy.
And I got a question for you, because you kind of started down this road a little bit. I'm curious about what were you doing when you first got into the hobby? And I know you quit for a while, obviously, and then came back, you said, a couple of years ago. But what was the time period when you first got in, and what were you doing? Were you buying cards at Target and Walmart, or did you go to, what was your hobby experience when you first got into that?
Oh, you mean when I came back in like September of 2022?
No, like when you first started, do you
Oh, when I
bought
was a
cards
kid?
and stuff? Yeah.
Oh yeah, like in the early 90s. I mean, the junk wax era had exploded, and there were hobby shops, everywhere. Like I grew up in New York City. I grew up in Queens, and the people who followed me for a while know that. And my LCS was a block away from my apartment building in Queens, and completely amazingly, like the LCS owner was like a Korean lady. And at that time, I didn't think anything of it, but now it's like, I don't know how many LCSs today are owned by Korean ladies, but she was super nice, and she was super like, just like we hung out there all the time. Like me and my friends from school, like that would be kind of like the hangout spot. And we would just kind of like, if you couldn't afford to buy a pack that day, you would just sweat your friends opening up packs. So it was almost like streaming in live, right? You're just like huddled around one kid opening up packs, just to see what they get. So I collected from the early 90s to the late 90s, and then like college happened, so I stopped, and then came back in the late 2010s, when I started having some more like adult money. And at that time, so when I was a kid, I was collecting, we were opening up like packs of hobby, just packs.
Mhm.
And I don't remember really much retail. And then in the
Did
late
you
two,
hold on to it? Did you keep it? Did you hold on?
very little. Yeah. I like, I even have like, I've posted about how I've pulled some crazy cards, and like, I don't remember ripping that much, but I've pulled some really cool cards. So, like I have like an Upper Deck UD3 season ticket Tim Hardaway. That's like one out of like 20,000 packs. Pulled one of those. A Kobe Bryant Start EX 2000 Start 8 2000. Like amazing card, like things like that. I don't even know how rare that one is. Like maybe it's like one per box, hobby box. But when it comes to the late 2000s and early 2010s, I did start buying like boxes, like from like Dave and Adams, and from, I think that was the main one, maybe Blowout, but I think Dave and Adams. I remember the Blowout forums, but I was on this forum called the Sport Card Forum, SCF, I think. But so it's really funny now that I think about it. As a kid, I was ripping packs. As a grown adult, I was ripping up boxes, and now it's like crazy. You need to open up cases to get case hits. Like, you can't even open up packs and boxes. What are you? It's almost like, what are you even talking about? You got to open up the cases as like a breaker or whatever. So it's funny how that transpired, and like the level of money just kept going up and up and up. But I mean, I was buying. I mean, my favorite box that I opened up product was 2007, 2008 Upper Deck Artifacts basketball, and that was $50 a box. Now those boxes are $800. Those boxes were loaded. Like, every single box had an auto and a mem and like really nasty patches.
Were you all basketball?
So I did a very little baseball, very little football. I do have some from when I was a kid. I think, it's just whatever happened to be in the shop, and like, again, what was affordable and whatever I could open up. In the late 2000s and early 2010s, I probably was exclusively basketball. I could have gone football with the Florida Gator, football's team doing well then too, but I didn't really like chase like Tim Tebow cards. I chased Al Horford, Joakim Noah, Corey Brewer, things like that.
Quick Gator. First of all, we have a Gator. I can't remember. I should know this. I can't remember if we talked about our UF connection or not. But I grew up in Gainesville, Florida. And quick Florida story, University of Florida story. I saw Emmitt Smith play in high school because he played in Pensacola.
Yeah.
And Pensacola played in like the Florida State Championship in the Swamp. And this would have been mid 80s at some point. So very proud of the fact that I got to see Emmitt. Not only did I watch him obviously in college at the University of Florida, but got to see him when he was at Pensacola High School. So
was he just absolutely trucking?
Yeah, when you're that good and you're in high school, I mean, nobody can stop you. Basically.
No, the high school highlights are the silliest, because I've seen Derrick Henry's doing this with like NFL defenders, but I've seen Derrick Henry high school highlights, and it is like a grown adult playing little children. It's that stark of a difference. No, but thank you for asking those questions to me, and but I definitely want to leave time for us to talk about a lot of things. We do have the chat kind of going, so I want to read every comment here. So Card Hunter, thank you for being here. He says, good evening. Thanks to you both. He also says, what happened to her? Is she still there? I'm not sure what that means. I'm sorry about that. Froggy, thank you for being here. He says, Froggy initially said, can you see comments? So this question might be for you. Froggy, for you, Ryan. Froggy asked Denny, who named you the king of the hobby in the DMV?
That's that was not Denny. That was me editorializing. So you can attribute that to me. That was not Denny's own request for that. I put that in the title of my.
Ryan, don't get me in trouble. The haters. I'm not saying Froggy is a hater, but
I focused. I specifically said the Beltway. I did not say the DMV would be DC, Maryland, Virginia.
Very different. Yep.
So hopefully.
So inside the Beltway, the people who don't live in this area don't understand, like, or who may not know that the Beltway, it really is Northern Virginia, Southern Maryland, and DC. You got shows outside of the Beltway in Richmond, Fredericksburg, Frederick, Maryland. Where's some other places? But like, those are great shows too. But I certainly am by no means the king of the hobby in the DMV. It was really, when I saw it, I chuckled. And it's funny because last time I tried to make myself a title, it was a joke. It was called the Hobby Uncle or the Hobby Funkle, like Fun Uncle, because you had all these like sports card dads, sports card moms, and mama breaks and daddy rips and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, all these other things are taken. I'm in my 40s. What if I'm like a fun uncle? But apparently the hobby, some people thought it was funny and went with it, and some people just took it way too seriously. I think people just need to take a little bit of a breath. So thank you, Froggy, for that comment, though. Card Hunter says, "Are you still opening packs?" That might be to me. Man, I still open, and I still have hope. Card Hunter says, "What's up, Froggy?" Froggy says, "Can't wait for the answer to my question." Card Hunter humbles me by saying, "Froggy, we know Denny is not king." And so thank you so much for the folks here with your questions and comments. I did not know Card Hunter. He lives in the Beltway since '92. Maybe if
That's a
he
long
has some
time.
time, November 23rd, this Saturday, Card Hunter. Please
Card-
come out. Go
Card
ahead.
Hunter, I moved to the Beltway in 1992 as well, so we have that in common. Moved. I went to Georgetown University, met my wife at Georgetown, and Denny, I was going to ask you. You said you lived in Queens. Are you a Knicks fan?
So the thing, and I've said this again, people who have listened to my podcast in the past, may be bored of me saying this, but so much like many people in the early 90s who loved basketball, just completely enamored with Michael Jordan. There were definitely some kids in school who were big diehard Knicks fans, mostly from their parents and all that. But yeah, I mean, Jordan was just so charismatic and electric, and I wasn't the only one. There's a lot of Jordan fans. So I wasn't a Knick fan. I can still remember Charles Smith getting stuffed over and over and over again by the whole Bulls team. They've definitely had their battles, and I mean, he is the main reason that, like, say, Patrick Ewing doesn't have a ring. But I was more of a Jordan collector, and I still remember that time when I got my first ever Michael Jordan scoring king, and that electricity. I just felt like it went through my veins. And the Korean lady card shop owner was so happy for me. She gave me like a penny sleeve and a top loader and all that stuff, and she was so happy for me. So
I was asking about the Knicks because, then obviously the Knicks went to the finals in '95 and they lost to my Houston Rockets, because I moved to Houston from Gainesville, Florida. I moved to Houston, Texas, and became a Rockets fan. But I was gonna show you this, which is this is when Patrick Ewing, let me see if I can show it. 1982 Georgetown University.
Let me spotlight you. Just give me a moment. I'm gonna try and spotlight you. Sorry, I'm still like learning all of this stuff. I want to put this. If you can show that again, solo layout. There we go. Oh my gosh.
So this is Patrick Ewing, 1982 Hoya motion. 1982 Georgetown Hoyas Patrick Ewing. So these aren't super valuable, but at all. But they're that's kind of stuff I collect. I like oddball type stuff that's a little bit different, that you don't see very often. That's kind of fun. And obviously, I'm a Georgetown fan. I love Patrick Ewing. Obviously, didn't do great as our coach, but phenomenal player. Played for the Knicks, and then he but lost to my Houston Rockets, who won 2 in a row when Jordan was playing baseball, right? And so this is my great my top Hakeem Olajuwon is probably my favorite basketball player, and I got this. He was at Chantilly at the last Chantilly show, and if I had been smart, I would have cracked that out and got it autographed and reslabbed. But it's just a lot of work and a lot of inertia on my point. So
I continue to grapple with this whole audio and video, like YouTube and podcasts. Who does which audience to serve the most? But that card you just showed, can you just explain to the podcast listeners? It was a Fleer rookie.
No. This is Star Company.
Star. Okay.
84, 85 Star. So Star had the license for 3 years. After Topps gave it up after the 81-82 season, and then Fleer came in 86, and I collect Star cards. So there are I think 24 Jordan Star cards. The 101 obviously has gotten all the attention. I got 16 of them, but I don't have any of the 3 most valuable. I don't have the 101, I think it's 195 and 288 from the first year. So some point maybe, but I'm a set collector, so my goal is to get all 24 of those Jordan Star cards.
Nice. So let me take the spotlight off and let me just ask you, that card you showed was in a BGS 7.5, I think, and it was, what's really interesting about that that holder was in the star card, they spell his name without the
Yep.
H,
Yep.
Akeem. But in the BGS holder, it says Hakeem, right? With an
Yeah,
H.
it's wrong.
No,
So
it's interesting, like, because he changed.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, in 1984, 85, he spelled it Akeem.
Yeah.
He changed it down the road. I think, I think for an 84, 85 card, they should still spell it. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just a
No,
flip,
I think it's
but,
just like.
but it's
Cool.
it is kind of interesting. And I've never really even gotten used to Hakeem. It's just Akeem.
Hakeem, right?
Hakeem
No,
the
I always
Dream,
right. Hakeem the
Phi
Dream.
Slamma Jamma, University of
Oh my
Houston,
gosh.
Clyde Drexler, these guys.
Can I ask you that Ewing card though? Was that like a tall boy? It looked like a big slab.
Yeah,
And that
no,
was
it's
in
a
a
big
PSA
card.
8, I think, or 9.
It's a police card, right? So, they did police departments used to put out sets and give them away to kids and stuff. And a lot in the 1980s. I got a ton of Redskins police sets.
Okay.
But so that's basically what this is. And yeah, it's not a regular size. It's a much larger,
That is a big card.
much larger slab.
So it's so what's the brand? Because that's not Fleer, that's not Tops. It's just police, like not licensed.
On the back, I'll show you the back. It says
yeah, the back.
Games Production Inc.
Wow, they slapped
Stop
up,
crime from moving into your neighborhood. At the first signs of trouble, call your local police. Yeah, police sets. Police sets are pretty cool because they're not. It's not like junk wax. I mean, they're not millions of them out there, but they're enough that you can find them, and they don't sell. And they're not expensive because they don't have. There's not a huge base of collectors other than people like me that care about the police sets very much. But the Redskins have police sets all throughout the night, every year of the 1980s and into the 1990s, and they're pretty nice.
I feel like it didn't help. The crime in DC and New York.
Oh, the crime! I thought you meant they were good in the 1980s. I was
no, they were very good, right? No, the people in our area still hold on very strongly because it looks so. You're a Rockets fan in basketball. You're a Redskins / Commanders fan in football, and do you have a baseball team and hockey?
I'm a Nationals fan. So,
okay.
Growing up in Gainesville, I was a Braves fan. Kind of grew up before we even had the Marlins and the Rays. We had spring training, which is awesome. But yeah, Braves. We had WTBS. We got all the Braves games on TV. So Dale Murphy. I'm going to date myself here. I don't know if anyone remembers these people, but Dale Murphy, Bob Horner, Rafael Ramirez, and these guys before the Braves were good. They got really good when they got those pitchers later on. But
yeah, Glavine, Smoltz, Maddox.
Yeah. So the quick story. In Gainesville, one of the biggest supporters of the University of Florida was George Steinbrenner, and Steinbrenner would, because he had a UF connection. I think he was a UF grad or something, and he'd bring the Yankees he'd bring the Yankees to Gainesville to have during spring training to have a exhibition game against the Florida Gators, and sorry. Anyway, so my story is that my first time I ever saw a Major League Baseball team was the Florida Gators versus the New York Yankees, and basically it was $4 to get in. The only thing separating the players and the fans was a chain link fence.
My gosh!
I got I got this, and then got all these players to sign it. That's Dave Winfield you see there.
Yeah.
Who else we got? And then other cool part of this story is this ball is signed by the entire 1987 New York Yankees. And the story with this one is, it's got Don Mattingly and Lou Piniella and Willie Randolph. Looking for the Don Mattingly.
Well, he's got such a beautiful autograph, Don Mattingly.
Yeah.
Very loopy.
Here it is.
A little bit to the left.
There's Don.
Yeah.
So.
I see it.
This is the entire 1987 New York Yankees, and the way I got that was my friend dad was the pilot for the charter plane that flew the Yankees up and back from Fort Lauderdale. And when the team was on the plane, my friend's dad, passed around a couple balls, one for my friend, one for myself. and brought it back to me, which was pretty cool. So I actually just dug that up today. But yeah, so I just got like weird kind of collectibles like this kind of lying around. But that's one of my most prized possessions. I mean, I doubt it's not something I would ever sell, but it's pretty kind of cool, signed by the 1987 New York Yankee team.
I just didn't think we were going to do 10 to 15 minutes about like the 90s with basketball. Like, especially, I didn't know you were going to ask me questions, which I welcome. And thank you for doing that. But you showed some really cool oddball things. I love like, I'm somewhat of an oddball collector myself. I'm trying not to get too much like, I don't want to hoard, and I want to have like very important pieces that almost like conversation pieces. But I find myself going down these different lanes and tracks, and I think that's the beauty of collecting. Like, no one has to tell you must collect a certain way. I think it's just the beauty of just kind of like seeing how it organically grows. But of course, it is important to have discipline, and it's important to have like an idea or a goal in mind. But what you just showed right now, like, I mean, we went from like these the police cards, star cards, a Florida Gator versus New York Yankees signs. What is that, like a
I'm sorry, Danny, I'm derailing your podcast.
Oh, I love it. I mean, let me just say, the chat is like, oh, Card Hunter saying good conversation, and I was floating up some of these that were up here while you were talking. But Card Hunter is right. Like, Jordan is a once in a lifetime. If you're there, if you weren't, I can't explain it. Card Hunter couldn't
agree with that. Totally agree with that.
I mean, that's why, like, I feel like the Jordan LeBron debate is just so generational, right? I mean, this if you're a kid nowadays, or like a young adult nowadays, LeBron was your Jordan because you see him live, you see his, you see all the highlights. But for kids, or the middle-aged guys and gals, like, it was Jordan. Like, he hit all the highlights every night, or when the season was playing. So I remember this. Do you remember this one, Ryan? I want to hear if you have any thoughts about when Jordan beat Magic in the finals and thought that it would be a beginning of many. They never met again in the finals.
Was it the first time they won?
So yeah, I mean, it was the 80. So
it
predates me a little bit because it's the late
91. 80s. The first of 1991, 92, 93. I don't remember what the sequencing of who they played was.
Yeah, I definitely came in 92, 93 was my first year of watching, or like, I mean, that was like my first time not just collecting cards, but like, I think that's when like the card store opened up. But yeah, I would say, oh gosh, see, this is dangerous going live with this. I think it was the first year they won, and then the next two were against the Blazers. Is that right? Because I know after that it's the Jazz and the Sonics, but I mean, that's ingrained into my brain. But when it comes to, it's so funny. Like, when he said Magic at first, when I was just skimming the comments, I read, I thought it was the Orlando Magic, but of course that was the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah. But yeah, Jordan and Magic, kind of like like LeBron and Kobe. They never met in the finals, right? So that's really interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, to me, the difference, what separates Jordan was he was just not good. He refused to lose. And if there's someone you ever want with the ball at the end of the game, it's Michael Jordan. I mean, LeBron is unbelievable, but there's just people that are going to win at the end, and that's the people who want the ball and the people who are going to take that last shot. And there's no one like that currently. I mean, maybe Steph Curry is probably the closest thing right now. Yeah, but absolutely. I mean, it's the same thing with Brady. These are just, it's not their statistics. I don't really care very much about statistics. I mean, these sports at the end of the day are about winning and winning championships. And like, those are the two players, Brady, Jordan, that you just know you're screwed. Joe Montana was the same way in the 1980s. He played my Oilers when he had left and gone to the Chiefs, and he just torched us for 20 points in the fourth quarter because, he's Joe Montana. So, yeah.
Again, before Brady, I mean, Joe Montana, Joe Cool was the greatest of all time. And then, Brady eventually separated himself and it became, I mean, even I'll admit, I mean, it's unassailable with the number of titles and all that. It just, Brady is the greatest quarterback ever and all that, but Brady, before he won, what is it, 6? Like when he had like 2 or 3, it was like, no, Joe Montana, Joe Montana's the best. Joe Montana's the best. But I mean, yeah, we're talking about just some incredible, athletes of their sports. So Cardonter was like, yeah, Jordan, he was clutch. And I don't know if I should read the whole comments. I have to figure out how much of all of these
You should
comments
skip some of them. I'll tell you right now.
skip some of them. No, I'm going to actually talk about that briefly. Just a few minutes. Cardunter says, I was working at KFC as a cook, watching on a remote TV in the manager's office. That was epic. No, that's really cool. I do want to get to just kind of like show logistics and talk more about the show, because that is why we're here. And thank you so much for being here, Ryan, late this Sunday evening. I'm not, I have to figure out how much oxygen to give folks like this. Froggy, early on when he came into the comments, it was clear that he wasn't coming with like the best of intentions. But this is only my second ever YouTube live stream. So, he writes here, people have known Denny. He'll use you and stab you in the back the second he has a chance for more likes. Multiple people have identical stories. Froggy, I just got to say, thank you for commenting. Thank you for being here and listening. I mean, I hope you have nothing against Ryan and the card show scene and the DMV. That's something that I, of course, disagree with. Everyone's going to have their different opinions. Everyone is the protagonist in their own stories. But I appreciate you watching and commenting. Like, I doubt that I'll ever win you over, but I certainly have a lot of people who are not happy with what I do. I can't make everyone happy. That's what it comes down to. And people who feel like I stabbed them in their back, I've met some people who I feel like have done the same to me, but it's okay. It's going to be all right. It's all about the cards. Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun at card shows. So thank you so much. Froggy, Cardonter, you guys are definitely dominating the chat, but we're going to move on to,
hey, you did get a comment from Maui up above there, and that would have been my brother. So
Liam,
he just said aloha from there you go.
I saw the last name.
Okay,
I didn't know if it was related.
No. So this is my brother, and he's wearing a squirrel suit, which is for skydiving. Okay. So he skydives and then flies in this squirrel suit and does crazy stuff. So
that is amazing. The one time I've ever skydived, we'd have talked this offline, but the one time I ever skydived in my entire life was actually in Hawaii. So I don't know if your brother was the one who was my tandem flyer or instructor or whatever it's called, but that was quite an experience. Yeah, that was amazing. So thank you. How do you say his name? You said
Liam.
Maui.
Oh, Maui, Hawaii. So he lives in Maui, but his name's Liam.
Liam. Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you, Liam, for being here. It's funny. The first live stream I had, one of the guests' fathers was in the chat, and so that was really cool. So thank you so much for all the comments. So I wanted to actually ask you about that first show. Actually, this show that's coming up this Saturday, November 23rd. Is that am I right to say it's like the 7th?
8th.
8th? Okay, awesome. So you said your first show, you didn't it's not as big as it is now, but how many tables was it? Like, how much were tables? Like, how nervous were you leading up to it? Like, how did you get that show off the ground? Because, to create anything from scratch is so hard, but how did you do that?
Yeah. So, first thing is the venue, right? So once you lock down the venue, you have to agree on a date, you sign a contract, and then it was kind of off to the races. And I had no idea if I'd be able to book tables. And once I booked tables, I had no idea if anyone would actually come, because nobody knew me. I had no presence, or no, I was not someone known in the hobby or anything like that. So basically, I booked it and then started going to shows and recruiting dealers just by talking to them, walking from table to table. Chantilly, the Annandale Schaff show. He was kind enough to let me, walk around and talk to his dealers and stuff. And then I wrote letters. I wrote to all the local card shops. I sent them flyers and everything. And I only got, 1 out of every 10 people I talked to, but As I will not forget the first person who ever booked the table for my show, and he's been at every show since. And I give him the prime spot and always will. So that's Zach Roseman, Key City Cards, Frederick, Maryland. Denny, he was the first one. He bought bought 2 or 3 tables for the first show, and then they came in slowly. But I gave myself a long time. I think I gave myself like almost 9 months between when I signed the contract and when my date of the show was. So I had a lot of time, and obviously did a lot of networking and stuff like that. But with promoting, I think it's all about the first show. And if the first show goes well, then suddenly those people that were on the sidelines are interested in vending and dealing at it. If it goes really poorly, you're done. So the first show went well, fortunately. And fortunately, the venue was happy and wanted us to come back. And I think we're in a groove now where for a year, it's about what I want to do. Maybe at some point go up to 6, but I don't think so. I think pretty happy with 4 right now. That way there's enough time between the shows that, they can build a little bit of excitement and stuff like that. I think the big growth will come from moving into additional spaces in the building. And that's what we're going to try out in February when we've got the whole space and see how that goes. But right now we're a 100 table show. And we do charge admission. A lot of smaller shows are free. We charge $5. Kids 12 and under are free. I actually think charging for admission is a good thing for a couple of reasons. One, it makes me work my butt off to get people in the show because I'm getting admission fees to get people in there. And second is, we're in downtown Silver Spring. Veterans Plaza gets 8 million pedestrians by it a year. So this is a very heavily trafficked area. And we want people coming into the show that are there for the cards and not just, walking in off the street with no awareness of what they're coming into and, don't want anything negative or bad to happen at the show. So I think it ensures that the people that come are there for the right reasons. The fact that we're charging admission, so yeah, we have we're strong group of vendors. We always have new people too. I would say. I think on Saturday we've got at least 12, probably between 12 and 15 new vendors. I'd say every show. We have new people that keep things kind of fresh. One big difference I've noticed since we started about 2 years ago is the quality of the inventory of the dealers is so much higher today than it was when we first got started. And I think that, honestly, I think some of these vendors have kind of grown with the show. So, as they've done more of them, they've invested back into their business. They've invested into their inventory. They realize they're going to be able to move cards at the show, and they're bringing really nice stuff. So I always tell people to have a mix of all price levels, have high end, but definitely have mid-end and have dollar boxes and have stuff for, new people in the hobby as well that are just, interested in getting to know it. So, and they do. And I also got a really good mix. I've got soccer, dedicated soccer, dedicated hockey, Pokemon, vintage, modern, everything. I work hard to make sure there's a mix of stuff so that it doesn't become pigeonholed as a single sport or as a vintage show or a modern show. It's not. It's all of the above.
Yeah, I think you mentioned him in your socials. I don't know if he listens to my podcast or watches me on YouTube, but shout out to Public Kingdom, Luis. I made a deal with him at a show in Frederick, Maryland, and I bought my first ever national landmark, I guess it's called. Like, it's kind of like the downtown, but for soccer. Mm-hmm. And it was Christian, Captain America, Christian Pulisic, and I thought I was going to grade it. It's still in its card saver. I still haven't submitted it, but he's a really nice guy. And, I continue to be happily surprised by the number of really good quality vendors we have in our area. People who aren't always just trying to, pull one over the public and all that. People who are willing to talk and share and just kind of like, that's why I look forward to doing my vendor or dealer spotlights at your show, because you do have a good mix. You don't have, it's not like every show has every, the same type of dealers. Different shows going to attract different type of vendors and all that. And yours is certainly not the most expensive, but also not the cheapest to set up at. But I mean, just the number of people who have come through the door, it's I was surprised. Like, people, every single show that I've been to has been packed. How many people came to that first show? Like, your estimate, and how many came to the last one?
Yeah. We had, I want to say between 500 and 600 at the first show. And we've had over 1,000 at every show since then. And I would say the beginning of the year, kind of January, February, March, is I've done it, gone through the seasons a couple times now, and I'd say that is definitely the highest attended. And then everything else is pretty strong too, but there's just something about kind of that post-Christmas, post-holidays period that the hobby really seems to take off. This will be our first November show, so it'll be really interesting. But I'm pitching it as this is the beginning of the holidays. Come on out, find interesting, cool things for loved ones. The temperature is changing; it's a good time to be inside, and it should be a lot of fun. And people are kind of getting into starting to get into the holiday spirit, I think. Can I show you something soccer related?
Yeah, I will put up the spotlight on yours. While you do that, before you show that, I wanted to ask you, can we please call first or early admission first off the line? Or is there like some sort of like issue with, any legal issues with that? Because I just love the idea of, like your early admission is 30 minutes before it opens to the general public, right? And it's an extra $5, I think, is it?
Yeah, it's extra $5. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't know if anyone would use it or not, and I've been incredibly surprised by how many people do want to come in. First off the line admission is a great name. I like that a lot. So it's an opportunity for people to get in before there's the show. I mean, the room can get crowded. I mean, I would say between 10 and noon, it knock on wood, it can get pretty crowded in there. So it does make sense to come early, and also you can do well by coming towards the end of the show as well. So
okay, before you show the soccer, your show hours are a little bit different than others, because you actually, I think this one and previous ones, it ends at 2:00. Is that right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're gonna finish at 2 on this Saturday. The next one will finish at 4. It has to do with conflicts at the venue. They have an evening event, and we just kind of have to work with them on that. But it's still 5.5 hours. Yeah. Definitely enough time. Definitely enough time for people to see everything they want to see there. So they'll also have more time at the end of their day. Oh, one other cool thing, good reason to come with your family. The hockey rink will be ice skating rink will be open right outside the show, right outside the doors. So downtown Silver Spring Veterans Plaza has an ice rink, and Silver Spring Civic Center is on Veterans Plaza. And there's also going to be a market outside on that day as well. So it's make a day of it, spend time at the show, but there's also a lot to do in the area, and you can even, go ice skating if you want to, and it's public. So it doesn't cost very much money either. So that's kind of
love
cool.
it. So many fun reasons to be there. But of course the cards is the main, and you wanted to show us some soccer.
Yeah. So I'm a vintage soccer collector. And I bought a bunch of stuff overseas. We went to Southern Europe, and you can still find treasures like at open air markets that's from like the 1920s, just crazy stuff in Europe. But we went to Portugal, and this is a Cristiano Ronaldo ball. And so, if you ever go to Lisbon, Portugal, he has his own store there. I mean, he basically is the country. Like Cristiano, he's like he could, he could walk, he could do anything, and he would.
Yeah, he can win president. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. I mean, so I got that ball at his store and signed by him, which I thought was really cool. And I said I collect vintage, vintage soccer stuff. So I have a lot of old vintage soccer cards. I'm not going to show those to you, but I have a couple other cool things, which are these. So this is a Pele. So this holds the card. So back in the it's an album, right? So it's back in the like 50s and 60s in soccer, they didn't do tops, football cards. They basically did stickers, and they made albums for the stickers. And this was one of the famous ones that they did for Pele. So it's like a 264 sticker set, and there's a lot of them in here. I'm not gonna open it up.
Yeah,
don't know. I got another one from like 1958 that was made for the World Cup for Brazil, and it's got like once the cards are inside them, and if you ever tried to remove them, you destroy them. So I could never get them graded or anything like that. But they're in the album, and the albums are very hard to find. And I collect Pele cards. Pele is the athlete of the century, voted the athlete of the 20th century by the International Olympic Committee. He's the GOAT of the most popular sport in the world. And my theory, my view is that you can't go wrong buying Pele collectibles, memorabilia, and cards.
Have you ever chased his sticker autos in Leaf? Because I've seen Pele autos only in probably Leaf than any other one.
So I have.
I'll be wrong about that. I'm sorry.
I actually have a lot of. I actually have a lot of Pele autographs. So this is a photo, but I have a couple balls that are signed by Pele. I don't have any of his modern cards. Mostly what I have is like stuff like.
You have his memorabilia and you have his posters. What is that? Okay, let me showcase. Let me spotlight that. And I'm sorry I haven't gone to the chat comments. It's a one-man show here. I'm trying my best. 1968 Panini Calciatore. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
PSA 2.
Oh yeah, all my old Pele. The only way I can afford Pele is to buy like really low grade stuff.
What is that? Valida back. So I guess that's a very
So it has it's got a cool back, and some of them are just like blank and stuff, but this one's got a lot of detail. So basically, it's like a sticker, but this sticker, fortunately, was never removed from the back. And that's where that's where you get the value if the stickers never.
Well, the back almost looks to me like one of those old school movie theater marquees, kind of like with the start, like the lettering and the typeset. That's beautiful. Oh, what is this? A Premier?
I think this card's beautiful. So this is an Italian one, 1969 Pele. And like. It's kind of made to look like a ticket, I guess. I mean, it's not a ticket. It's like it's like a card. I mean, I don't speak Italian, so
I can't say. Yeah, I don't want to get in trouble. I'll get canceled if I try to say all those words incorrectly. What holder? That was a PSA 2?
Oh yeah, that's a no. This is actually an expensive card. This is sorry, I'm not good at this.
I know. I'm trying to figure PSA 5. Okay.
Yeah. I got this. I got this in a PWCC auction before it became Fanatics.
Yeah.
This is the Grail for. It's a low grade, but this is the Grail for Messi. This is the 2000.
Oh, the Mega Crack. I've heard of this card.
Cracks, yeah. So he has a few cards from 2004, but this is number 71, the most popular. Now this is one. If I had any, if I had a guts, I would crack it out and resubmit it. But because I guess I don't know. I'm not good at judging condition, but it doesn't look like a four to me for whatever that's
There's
worth.
you know what my experience with those, there's
Yeah.
always some hidden crease. Like centering looks good, this the corners and edges look beautiful, but there's like a crease in the back, or there's some sort of those cards, there's no like print lines like chromium cards, but there's
Yeah.
something that is just almost invisible or naked. I'm sorry, invisible to the naked eye, that they bust out their telescopes and their microscopes to find that crease somewhere. And so of course it could also grade better, but also if you just love that card, I mean, it looks good, it looks amazing.
Denny, one last Pele story. So I do have the 1958 Alifa, I don't know how you pronounce it, Alifa Baloget Pele card, which is like the big Pele card. It's in a vault. It's in the PWCC Now Fanatics vault. And then I wrote an article. I know you're in addition to a podcast star, you also write for Hobby News Daily.
I used to, not anymore, but it's okay. That's a long story.
I wrote an article for Hobby News Daily on the 1958 Alifa card, which is a Swedish card that was produced in conjunction with the 58 World Cup, which is where Pele won his first World Cup at the age of 17. And they did a whole set they did like a set for all 10 of like the final teams in the World Cup. And the Brazil card is super, you'd recognize it if you saw it. I don't have it because it's in a vault, but it's very cool.
That's awesome. Cool. No, thank you for sharing that. I mean, like, here's the thing, like, we're over the 1 hour mark and I didn't get to half the questions I wanted to ask, but if you're happy and you're having a great time, that's the most important thing. Thank you for the people in the chat. Like, I don't want to, like, there's a lot more than I thought. There's some that I not that I don't want to say, because as you saw earlier, I posted something that, of someone who is trying to troll or hate or whatever, but I don't mind putting up all of these. It's just that we're kind of pressed for time, and I was surprised to have this many comments. But Card Hunter, definitely thank you for being here. Says I was going to name my last name Liam. It almost made the cut. Great name. Liam is a great name. Glad the Ripper, thank you for being here. He says built-in babysitter. I think that was in regards to the ice skating rink, kind of like the family-friendly part. I have definitely, let me just say this, card shows, sometimes, it's great if the kids are old enough to want to collect together, but I have definitely seen some shows, and I'm not going to say any names, but it's the dad who just is taking his time and enjoying it, and then the mom or the partner or the girlfriend or the kids just being like, come on, let's go. And it's just like, he's in his happy place. So it's great that you have family involved. I will not be bringing my family. Like, that's kind of like the the boundary that we've set, and I respect that, and thank you to those who do respect that. But it's great that you have your family involved, and yes, built-in babysitters, that's always wonderful. So Glad says, dang, I saw that pop up when you're showing some of the not the Messis, the Pelés. Those are beautiful cards. I mean, I can only imagine how they look in person with that with the vibrancy of the green and the yellow, the Pantones, because just showing it on camera probably doesn't do it justice, but those look like really beautiful cards.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a very small collector base that goes for those. So you go low grades and they're attainable. But I don't know. I can't imagine what it would be like to try and move them, because I don't think vintage, there's not a huge market for vintage soccer cards at shows. Lewis has some, definitely, but most soccer collectors today, especially at shows, they're into Mbappe and the
Holland. I know. Yeah. He totally looks like a villain from like, oh my gosh, what, Breaking Bad or something, like, he just has that like look of just kind of like, a very serious look. I'm sure he's in whatever, like social media commercials, like laughing or smiling, but he just has like this very serious, like, German look, I guess. Yeah. I don't even know if he's German, actually. Sorry. But I
think he's I want to say Norwegian.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. But yeah, Holland, Mbappe. I mean, it's like every sport has like their, right. I mean, people say NFL, it's all about the ultramodern quarterbacks, right? I mean, you can name a bunch of them, but the main one is like Mahomes and Brady, and then you got the just under them, maybe like the, it's so funny how Lamar Jackson is just so incredibly good, and yet people just continue to try to smear his name or say he's not the MVP or he's not that good, and it's like this guy's balling. And of course, your team has Jaden Daniels, who is just electrified. I mean, he has probably saved. He's made a bunch of money for some football card breakers, that's for sure.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of wetting their pants right now. A little nervous that about the last couple games, but I think it's all going to work out. We have a good schedule these next few weeks, so we've had a couple tough games, but I'm not sure he's healthy, so hopefully they give him time to get healthy. But Terry McLaurin, I mean,
yeah, scary Terry.
Some of the catches he makes are just incredible, and I'm so happy for him to have a quarterback that can be the quarterback he deserves to have.
Yeah, and it's wild that he's not even the one who caught the Hail Mary, and Jaden Daniels is already in the Hall of Fame with his I think it was like a couple of items from that catch. It was like maybe a pylon and a glove or something, or a helmet, but he's already known for that amazing Hail Mary, which a lot of props to the the receiver core for almost like working as a group to kind of of course you got to have some lucky bounces to happen. I mean, let's get you out on that. I don't know, because I don't know how much more time to go, but how did you feel watching that play, the Hail Mary?
It made it, I think it felt like, oh wow, there's like some destiny here with this group, right? That we've like turned this page, and now suddenly luck is on our side, and we're getting the breaks. And I just feel like they've mostly avoided injuries. They've avoided penalties. They avoided turnovers. Now that changed the last game or two, but they just had an incredible run of luck. And the coaches, everyone seems to really like the coaches and stuff. So it's still a work. I mean, they're a work in progress in some ways still, but like they've like come together so much faster than anyone thought was possible. But we're still in the middle of it. I mean, we got several more games. We'll see how things finish up. I think the biggest, what I hear people saying is how is the durability of Jaden Daniels, right? So he's really tall, but he clearly doesn't like weigh a lot. Right. He seems very slippery, right? So maybe he'll be very good at avoiding these big hits. That's certainly my hope. But everyone's worried about like an RG3 type of repeat scenario.
I know some people do not like the comparison, but for all the good and bad, I mean, again, I'm not like some football commentator or anything like that, but and again, it's not just, he looks a certain way or anything like that, but just the way he plays, it's just he's not like, I don't know, like you certainly know your quarterback better than I do, but like, you have some quarterbacks who can run, who are just so fast, right? I mean, that touchdown run Lamar had against the Bengals was just, I mean, talk about slippery. Like there was like 5 people who could make a play on him, and he still got into the end zone. But Jaden Daniels, like, I mean, RG3 was, I mean, so electric when he came in as a rookie, just right off the bat, and you're so good. And then the injuries started piling up, and he started trying to do jumping jacks to prove that he wasn't hurt, and he clearly was. And they did rush him back, and different owner, different GM, different training medical staff, but that he is kind of in, for all the good and bad, he is in some ways going to be compared, and in some sort of ways like a shadow of RG3, because this area has a rabid fan base that just wants to go back to the glory days of the 80s, and it's can he do it? I mean, this is the window of time. A lot of people say that about NFL teams. Like, when you have your rookie quarterback under the rookie contract, that's when you can spend a lot more money on other facets of your team, like especially on defense and all that. And so it doesn't have to be this year, Ryan, but in the next 2 years, I really hope that they, spend, like that. Well, everyone has a salary cap, but I really hope that it's a competitive team, because I know that makes for a really happy mood for a lot of people in our area.
Well, you hit it about DC. DC. One thing I learned about Washington, DC, is it's a football town. I mean, some cities, Boston, I feel, notwithstanding the Patriots, Boston is a baseball town. And Chicago's the same thing. Chicago's a baseball town. But DC is football, and the fan base is very strong. And they kept coming even when during the Dan Snyder years. But man, they're gonna like really come out now that they like actually believe they've got a team and stuff. And I you can definitely see that. Definitely see that in Washington. So I mean, Baltimore does too. Obviously, Baltimore's a big. They got the Orioles. They got a big base with their baseball team, but as well. But Baltimore is a great football town as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Glad the Ripper says, just like Lamar did, he has to learn when to run and when to slide. I mean,
yeah.
I think. Go ahead.
I'll say this: he throws strikes though. Is the one thing I'd say about Jaden Daniels. Like, there's a lot of running quarterbacks, and their arm is kind of but. I mean, he throws a bullet. He throws a lot of very on target, a lot of accurate passes. And so I think that, that differentiates him a lot from a lot of other running quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, I would agree. He's very strong arm, accurate arm. I mean, just really fun to watch. I mean, LSU, I know I think he was in Arizona State before that, but LSU just, I mean, they know how to do some quarterback. I mean, I think they're known as like wide receiver university, like with the great wide receivers that have come out. But Burrow and Jaden Daniels, yeah, they've really done well.
Denny, this is a giveaway at the show. Jaden Daniels autograph.
Are we gonna? We can't talk about that right now.
This is not.
We'll talk. Okay, so the pro set, Jaden Daniels. Sticker auto
we're giving this away on Saturday.
Okay.
There are not many Jaden Daniels. Yeah, it is a Leaf card, right? So it is on license, but you're not going to find a licensed Jaden Daniels autographed card. So they don't exist right now. So pretty certain of that. The other thing I really like about this one is it is his college uniform. It's a color match with the Commanders, because this is when he played for Arizona State, and he's got the gold and burgundy Arizona State uniform on, which I think is kind of cool if you're, if you think about him as a Commander. So, excited to give that away, and hopefully, someone's happy to get it.
I actually never told you this in our multiple conversations over the phone, but when I was at the Culture Collision card show before I don't know if it was before or right when the start of the NFL season, but everything's like blurring in my head right now. This is what happens, I guess, when you go live on YouTube. But I saw a Topps Now on card auto of Jaden Daniels with an inscription, "Go Commanders," and I think it was Culture Collision, but I can't remember which when it was, but it was in a showcase with giant sports cards. I don't think it made my card show vlog, and I recorded like everything at a card show, but I missed this one. I think they were asking about $2,000 for it. I don't know what it was numbered out of, maybe numbered out of 50, 99, whatever it was, but it was inscribed. It had
that's awesome.
"Go Commanders." I can't even imagine what that card's worth now, but it was a beautiful card. It was raw. It wasn't in a holder. It wasn't graded. But I remember holding that card. I saw it. Someone was trying to make a big swing for it. They wanted like something like maybe like set $1,600 for it. And I just thought to myself, like, I love inscriptions. I love inscribed auto
This
cards.
It's not one with him in like on draft day in like a suit or something. This is
probably yeah. No, I think that's the one. It's Topps Now. Yeah, it's not any.
But I'm not a fan of that one from the draft where I think he's wearing sunglasses or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh, yeah. It is that card. You don't like it because it's not a uniform card?
I just don't like the look of the card personally. I mean, I'd rather see him in uniform with the painted off the logos and stuff than I would like see him just in street clothes.
I totally get you, because it almost has an unlicensed look to it. But I guess Topps Now, that's what they had to do.
Well, it is it's unlicensed in that it's not doesn't have the NFL
Right.
license. It is his autograph. I mean, so but
It's a beautiful. It was
yeah,
a. I mean, to write Commanders out in full again, like we romanticize these athletes touching the cards and all that, but it was a beautiful card. And I am so glad I got to see it, and I can't believe I didn't make any content out of it or kind of like touch, hold a card in my hand. But awesome card. I think I gotta get you out on this one last thing, and it's about the show, November 23rd, Saturday, show hours 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. For this one. First off the line is going to be I already called it that. 30 minutes beforehand. So 8:30 is when people can come in, right? So
right.
maybe some of your last show, the last one I went to, there were definitely some repackers who were just trying to like buy up whole tables or buy up the case hits. But it's you have a great crowd, you have great, comfortable, AC's good, the ceilings are high. I've definitely been to some shows where it's hot and the ceilings are low and all that. But you are going to, and this is what I wanted to end on, is there is going to be a free trade zone area, I guess, hosted or sponsored, like I'm involved in it in some way where I'm going to help some folks in that area. But I know I'm going to be doing so many things everywhere that I can't clone myself, and I'm going to do my best to be in that area. But it's a trade zone, right?
Yeah. So one thing we do at our show that we take a lot of pride in is, in addition to all the dealer tables, we have an area with high top tables that is specifically for trading by attendees. At the last show, we were able to use the courtyard, interior courtyard. It's going to be a little cold for that, so we'll be inside. But it's the same idea, and it's an area that is specifically for this purpose, which is attendees to come and trade and do deals with one another, and it's very popular, so people use it. The idea, Denny, with having you involved with that, obviously, yeah, you're going to be working with vendors and involved on the show floor as well. But I think just to kind of, you're a great facilitator, right? So you kind of get people talking and looking at their stuff and sharing their cards and things like that. So just having you part and involved with the trading area is very positive.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because communication is so key. And, of course, people earlier were saying how, whatever, that's unsavory things. But in the end, it's all about just being able to talk to each other and to just kind of see, again, if deals are possible, great. If not, I mean, I think sometimes the best deals I've ever made are the ones that I didn't actually make, right? It's like the card that certainly there are cards that are, I don't know if they're like Captain Ahab, Moby Dick cards where it's the one that got away, but there are definitely cards that either in auction or in card shows I wish that I had gotten, or I swung for, I attempted harder for. But there are definitely cards that I'm so glad that I didn't end up, buying or trading for, because not just because the card value went down, but like, just I'm just glad that I didn't go down certain avenues. And so, I think it's really important with any sort of trade area, no one to feel pressured, because there are definitely some people who are very businessman-like and very pushy and aggressive. And, I'm not going to police anything, but I definitely want to be there to make sure people have a comfortable, good time. And again, that's just kind of like an added bonus to the regular card show aspect of things. So there isn't going to be a trade night. I know I've done that in the past, where it's like a trade night, trade afternoon after your show. But this one is going to be during show hours from 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. And it's going to be in that area. And like I can't thank you enough for, again, believing in me, taking a chance. Well, not taking a chance on me, but like we've talked, come to your show, I've got to meet your family. I really like your vibe, and your card show is really like, and it's not just because I'm a show ambassador, but it is my favorite show. Like it's just got such a great mix of everything that I would want in a safe, fun environment. So,
Well, no, it's definitely a benefit for us by all means. And you're going to help us really bring this out for others as well to see.
yeah,
I mean, because that's what you do. You do stuff
that is what I
online
do.
and you post and you really get stuff out on the internet, Instagram, and elsewhere for people that aren't able to make it. So I want people to kind of see what the show's about and experience a little bit of it. And I take photos, but that doesn't capture it. It really can only capture it through the kind of stuff that you do. So I'm very happy to be working with you on it, Denny.
Thank you so much, Ryan. And Glad the Ripper says Mac Jones with laughing emojis, and that is the cards that I'm glad. I can safely say I never have owned a single, unless it's like a base card or like a dollar value bin card. I have, to my best of my recollection, I really cannot think that I have owned a single Mac Jones card, and isn't that such a nice thing to say?
Is he still in the league? Where is he? I don't even know where he is now.
Is he a Jaguar? I mean, okay. Is he the, I know he's a backup, and then, when the starter gets injured, I think he might be a Jaguar. I'm just not as NFL savvy as the NBA, but that might be it. And that's, again, when you have a live stream, you just have to go on the fly. But thank you, everyone in the comments. Thank you if you've been listening on a podcast. If you're going to watch this stream after the fact on YouTube, thank you for watching. I can't believe it. Episode 96. Like, this is amazing. It's only my second ever live stream on YouTube. Ryan, you have been awesome. You've been a great guest. Definitely went down some rabbit holes, but that's what I love that. I love that. It's just, it's a conversation, right, between two friends. So thank you so much for your time. And hope you have a great week leading up to the show. Again, Saturday, November 23rd, Silver Spring, Maryland.
And don't hesitate, anyone, to reach out beforehand if you have any questions or any issues about the show. I'm sure that you'll be able to reach us through the links that Denny provides. But happy to answer any questions. So.
I am going to not only put in your Instagram tags, but I will also add in your email to the show notes, kind of like the in case people want to email you instead. I know some people prefer that. But I'll definitely put in ways for people to contact you. And again, as ambassador, if people want to contact you through me, I'm more than glad to be the conduit for that. So thank you again so much, everyone. Thank you, Ryan, and hope you all have a wonderful week.
Thanks a lot.